Have you ever smelled a pigsty in July? The stench of ammonia that stings your eyes, dirt, sweat, urine, unwashed bodies. Now imagine that pigsty is you. You're a Roman legionnaire. You've been on the march for 3 weeks. You haven't washed. You haven't changed your clothes. You've slept in them, eaten in them, and wiped yourself with them after going to the toilet. Your body produces an odor that can be detected a mile away. The barbarians on the fortress walls start coughing when the wind blows from your direction. Roman legionnaires smelled worse than animals, much worse. How did it happen that the greatest warriors of antiquity smelled like a rotting swamp? And why didn't they do anything about it? The answer will surprise you. Because they did, but not in the way you think. Let's get started. For starters, forget about the Roman baths. Yes, they existed. Yes, they were luxurious. Yes, wealthy Romans went there every day. But a legionnaire is not a wealthy Roman. A legionnaire is a war machine, and machines don't wash. On a campaign, a soldier has no bath, no hot water, not even cold water, because he has to carry it. Every liter of water used for washing is a liter wasted. The Romans counted rigidly. A single legionnaire on a campaign consumed about 2 liters of water a day, just for drinking, 0 for washing. That was an order. Why? Because water is weight, and weight is speed. The Roman army marched 30 kilometers a day, sometimes 40. Every extra kilogram slowed the column. Water for washing was a luxury, like a silk toga. So, the legionnaire doesn't wash. But that's just the beginning. The second problem is clothing. A Roman soldier on campaign had 1 tunic. 1. For a month. Sometimes 2. Wool. Thick. That never dries. You walk in the rain. The tunic gets wet. You walk through the mud. The tunic absorbs the dirt. You eat. Crumbs fall on the tunic. You sleep. The tunic absorbs your night sweat. And you dry yourself with this tunic after going to the toilet. Yes, you heard right. The Roman legionnaire didn't have toilet paper. He didn't even have a rag. He only had the tunic he was wearing. He would lift the edge, wipe himself, and then lower it back down. Now do the math. 1 soldier goes to the toilet 2 or 3 times a day. Multiply that by 30 days. Multiply that by 5,000 soldiers in a legion. Thousands of acts a day. Everything is absorbed into the same fabric. The tunic ceases to be clothing. It becomes a biological weapon. Smell, but not just smell. Ammonia from urine, butyric acids from sweat, hydrogen sulfide from feces. And all this is on your skin, 24 hours a day. Now add a third component: leather armor, leather cuirass, leather belts, leather sandals, caligy. Leather doesn't breathe. It traps moisture inside. Imagine you're wrapped in a plastic bag that only lets sweat through, and you don't take this bag off for weeks. Under armor, your body temperature is higher. The moisture doesn't evaporate. Bacteria multiply like wildfire. The skin begins to rot. Right on you. Roman soldiers took off their armor in the evening and smelled their own decomposition. They got used to it. After 3 days, their noses stopped noticing, but the enemy didn't. The barbarians said, "The Romans smell of death before it comes." It was a psychological weapon, but not intentional. The Romans weren't trying to stink. It was a side effect of the system. And now, the fourth component: food. The Roman legionnaire ate spelt, a coarse wheat porridge, and beans. Lots of beans. Beans cause gas. Severe. Constant. You can't control it. You march in formation, and your stomach rumbles. You pass gas every few minutes, and it stays in your tunic, soaks into the wool. You carry your own stench with you, like a snail carries its shell. By the end of the day, you're a moving garbage dump. By the end of the week, a disaster. By the end of the month, you're a danger to others. And here we come to the worst part: consequences. Roman surgeons noticed something strange. Soldiers who had been on campaign for a long time had wounds that healed more slowly. Gangrene was 3 times more common. Why? Because a dirty tunic touched the wound. Fecal bacteria entered the exposed flesh, and the man died not from the sword, but from his own filth. The Romans didn't know about germs, but they knew about vinegar. Every soldier carried a flask of vinegar. They treated wounds with it. They washed their hands with it. They wiped that same tunic with it. But vinegar didn't kill everything, and there was never enough of it. So why didn't they change anything? Because Rome was pragmatic. Clean clothes mean weight. Weight means speed. Speed means victory. A legionnaire who smells but walks fast is better than a legionnaire who is clean but arrives late for battle. The system was built on efficiency, not comfort. And you know what? It worked. Rome conquered half the world stinking because its enemies died by the sword, not from smell. But there was one catch. The enemies stunk too. The Celts didn't wash for years. The Germans bathed in swamps and smeared themselves with grease. The Persians used perfume, but it would spoil under their armor in a day. Everyone stank. The Romans simply stank systematically, organized, on schedule, and they had a brilliant detail that the textbooks don't mention. Once a week, if conditions permitted. The legionnaires would have a bath day, not a bathhouse, a river. They would wade into the cold water, take off their tunics, and rinse them, shake them, wring them out. The water would turn brown. Then they would put their wet tunics back on. There was no time to dry them. A wet body smells less than a dry one. Temporarily, an hour later, the smell would return. But that hour was bliss. And now, honestly, could you stand one day in a Roman legion? 1 week, 1 month in a tunic that remembers everything you ate, drank, and did in the bushes? Most would say no, but the Romans said yes. 500 years, thousands of campaigns, millions of stinking steps, and they won. How many soldiers do you think died not by the sword, but because they forgot to rinse their tunics? Let me know in the comments, and in the next video, I'll tell you what the Romans did with the corpses of their comrades on campaign, and why they feared this more than an enemy attack. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. Now, go ahead, take a shower. Your tunic isn't as dirty as you think. The end.